Okay. Good morning, Sunnyvale. So this week's virtual background. Let me go step aside. Uh, this is one of the utility box art projects, around the city right now. And so you can take a look. This one is actually at the corner of Iowa and Sunnyvale Avenue. But we have about, I'd say 2/3 of them are close to completion, and there's still some in the works as far as our utility box program is concerned. But I do think that it's fantastic that we're having, murals, although at a smaller scale around our city, but having murals here in Sunnyvale, as well as, what I always try to start out with is some of the murals that I've seen in my travels around the world. And so happy that Sunnyvale is adding a certain number of murals currently. So let's go ahead and get started. Good morning. I'm Sunnyvale Mayor Larry Klein. Thank you for joining me again this week. This is the 109th installment of my weekly office hours. Happy Good Friday. I hope everyone enjoyed yesterday's rain, and still a little cloudy today, so we'll see how much rain we actually get. We've now reached 760 days since the March 16, 2020 county health order started the shelter in place in an attempt to slow the spread of COVID-19. Just over 2 years ago, I transitioned my weekly office hours on Murphy Avenue to this live stream address and haven't missed a week since. But people still say they enjoy hearing from their mayor every week, whether or not they listen to this live or watch it a little delayed a few days later or sometimes a week later. But I still enjoy doing them, because it allows me to really look back over the last few weeks, provide you with some updates, some news, answer some of your questions, and just give some general words of encouragement. So thanks for allowing me to continue to represent you and work for Sunnyvale during ever-changing times. I now am following up these live stream addresses with in-person meetings on Murphy Avenue at Bean Scene. So if you want to reserve a spot, you just need to email me and we'll figure out a time slot to reserve 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Or if you have a quick question, you can always drop in and see if I'm free, or we can fit you in between other appointments. Over 6 months ago, I started changing my background art with art provided by Sunnyvale artists from the Sunnyvale Art Club. This week's piece is called Purple Iris. It's by Angela Hsu. So if you're interested in purchasing that piece or want to get in contact with the artist, just contact me and I'll put you in contact with them. So definitely always good to highlight, the art in our community. Let's go ahead and get started and talk about what's happened at the federal, state, county, and city level over the last 2 weeks. Last Monday, the California basically shifted in a small but really a significant way in its approach to the COVID-19 pandemic. The California Department of Public Health stopped issuing weekly updates on coronavirus data, or sorry, weekday updates. So every day updates on the coronavirus data, which is kind of a change for the last almost 2 years. It's been, here's what the rates are, here's what hospitalizations are and all that. So they're now be releasing that on Tuesdays and Fridays, which works out well for our Friday get together here. But some counties have followed suit. Our county actually hasn't. It's still doing daily updates of that data just to better look at the trends. And I think that is really important to see, how things fluctuate over time. And our, county website, as far as providing all of that data, is actually very useful for me, for other people to see how we're doing in response to COVID-19. And so from that standpoint, I'm happy that the county is actually continuing to make that data, that dashboard, available to anybody who wants to see it. Last Tuesday afternoon, there was a ribbon cutting at the new Fremont High School building. And so this is basically a renovation of the student union and their theater. And it was actually pretty amazing because this building is about 100 years old. And, you start seeing some of the old workmanship and especially some of the paintings that were done on the beams and some of the ceiling tiles, which had been completely refurbished. Was really good. So happy to see the Fremont Union High School District reinvesting in their buildings for the betterment of their students, for their staff, for the parents. And it just makes for a better community overall. Last Tuesday, we had a council meeting and we started the evening with a study session on the Caltrain grade separation. And, this has been ongoing for the last year or two as we do initial studies, and council has reduced the number of options down to 2 for Mary and Evelyn, as well as Sunnyvale Avenue and Evelyn. But ultimately, we gave direction on what we would like to see, additional data. Staff had done further kind of investigation on some of the design questions. There was questions about whether or not how simple those intersections, and especially the Mary and Evelyn intersection, needs to be, or a little bit more complex, depending upon making it easier or more difficult for people to get to Mary from Evelyn, or Evelyn onto Mary. There's been several designs, and we're looking at that, and ultimately, all that will also entail keeping that Evelyn multi-use trail that we've been trying to work for a long time, to connect downtown Sunnyvale and downtown Mountain View with a multi-use trail, much like the Stevens Creek Trail. So that's still part of the plan, but it's also how ultimately Evelyn Avenue connects up to Mary. And there's several different designs as far as that's concerned. As far as the main meeting, we kicked off with several special orders of the day. One of which is April is Fair Housing Month, and so we basically celebrated that. Last week was Library Week and National Library Week across the nation, and I actually spent Tuesday morning reading at story time for the children and the parents at the library. And then, from that standpoint, there are lots of different events going on at the library as far as that's concerned. And then as far as Earth Month, this is Earth Month. And so we celebrated Earth Month last Saturday. There was a big Drive EV event at the community center. Beyond that, there was also composting, using induction cooking, saving water, how to compost. So lots of operational things of how to be greener. And so, it's always good to celebrate. Always good to celebrate Earth Month, and whatever you can do, it should be basically it's setting those practices that you should get into on a yearly basis. And then as far as the main meeting, we received 2 study issue reports. So we kick off study issues every year. And so 2 finally reached completion, one of which was improving traffic operations at Fremont Bernardo and Highway 85. And the second was acquiring control of the Caltrans traffic signals along El Camino Real. And ultimately, we decided to take no action on either of those, one of which, the Bernardo Fremont 85 intersections, Caltrans did not want us to take control. They are ultimately looking at taking cars onto Highway 85 and off of Highway 85, and they want to deal with all those timings accordingly. We did look at conceivably improving the traffic signals and feeding that, adding video cameras there and feeding that to the Caltrans traffic monitoring systems. That being said, none of our highway on-ramps in Sunnyvale are actually currently monitored by Caltrans. And so it would have been a very expensive ordeal. of which currently none of our other, Lawrence or Matilda aren't really monitored by Caltrans right now. And then as far as El Camino Real, ultimately, it wasn't seen as viable, mainly because, there's a cost of kind of changing those signals, and Caltrans does retime those signals when the city requests. So, it was working with that, continuing that partnership it was the biggest kind of goal. But as far as the taking control of that El Camino Real corridor, the signaling, we would also taken over that liability for if anything goes wrong and there's an accident. And so, beyond that, it wasn't in the city's best interest to take on additional liability. And then last Friday, there was a big announcement in the afternoon. Sunnyvale was again honored as one of the top 10 safest cities in the nation. And so this is an annual ranking that happens by smartasset.com. And last year we were #1. This year we were #4. We're always, usually in the top 10, and there's some fluctuation based upon statistics and other things as far as that's concerned. It is ultimately a community effort. It is residents that are concerned, doing neighborhood watch, looking out for their neighbors, as well as I think our Department of Public Safety really makes a big difference. It is that merged model of fire and police and EMT training that really makes a difference for our officers when they're out on patrolling, as well as it just makes for, I think, better connection between Sunnyvale, the Department of Public Safety, and our residents. So congratulations, Sunnyvale, you did a good job. Definitely happy to see that we're once again one of the 10 safest cities in the US. And then last Saturday, there was actually a small event at the Murphy Park, and it was basically an event to honor one of the long-term lawn bowlers that are there. And if you're ever interested, and actually I'll probably post about it, if you're ever interested in trying lawn bowling, they have a group that's there every Wednesday. And so, if you want to get involved, definitely, it was a great crowd, but it was celebrating one of the long-term members that's been, there for more than 50 years, helping out people that want to learn how to lawn bowl. So it was good to join that celebration. And then as far as last Saturday night, it was after several years of having COVID and not being able to hold it, the 56th annual Murphy Awards happened. And so it was great to see so many people in person after COVID. It was good because we were planning to have that event just at the beginning of COVID. And then it kept being postponed. And finally, we were all able to meet together to honor everyone. But thanks to the Sunnyvale Chamber for, honoring those people that really make a difference in our community. And I just wanted to thank all those awardees. There were a lot of these standards. Sunnyvale Community Services, of course, received congratulations for the best nonprofit. There were Maker Nexus, Safeway, Google, El Camino Health, Specialty Solid Waste and Recycling. Shane Jacksite, who has also been very active in our community, received an award, and 2 educators, one from Fremont Union High School District, one from Sunnyvale School District. So it was good to honor those people that are really giving back. I got the privilege of honoring Dr. Ben Picard. He was given the Murphy Award for Lifetime Community Contribution, and all the Murphy Awards are named, of course, by because of Sunnyvale's founder, Martin Murphy Jr. And he did a lot of different things within the community. He was, he brought the railroad to Sunnyvale, so making sure that it stopped, and that actually brought a lot of people into our city. But he did a lot of things locally. Actually, he was part of the help go save the Donner Party, if you heard those stories. But he also helped found some of the first higher learning educational systems in the Bay Area. So he helped co-found Santa Clara University, or Santa Clara College, as well as the College of Notre Dame. So definitely it was good to honor people, and especially from that education as well as community, giving back to the community. Dr. Picard was the perfect person. He retired last year as superintendent for Sunnyvale School District, and he's served as an educator for over 50 years. But he was instrumental in the launch of the Columbia Neighborhood Center, as well as multiple health programs and lunch programs for kids at school, and kind of the summer lunch programs for those kids in need when school isn't even happening. But of course, besides those efforts with children and families, he's been very active in Rotary. He's a board member for Sunnyvale Chamber of Commerce, as well as on the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, and board managers for the Northwest YMCA. So I was happy to be able to provide Ben with that award. And I think a lot of people really look up to his efforts over the last 50 years. And I just also want to thank the Chamber for actually surprising me with a recognition for promoting the Chamber and all of our small business community. I think it was good from that standpoint I was honored to be recognized for all the efforts to try to help our small businesses, whether or not that's the eatsunnyvale.com restaurant project that I've done under COVID, or